Hello everyone, this is Simon, your host for The Map, The Modern Awakened Perspective. It's your map for the path to enlightenment. This is going to be the second installment in my four-part series, basically going over the subject matter I intend to concentrate on in my channel, And so I'll try to keep this short. I've noticed that I can only upload a maximum of 15-minute video, and I had to cut off maybe just the wrap-up summary of the last video. Hopefully didn't miss anything too important. I'm still learning this whole process and how to do video production, so this will become something I get better at. Okay, let's go. As I mentioned in my last video, when I first woke up, I had a broken leg. So that gave me plenty of time to do research, and I spent a lot of time researching the subject of business and finance because it was something that I felt I needed to dive deeper into. During that time, I spent many hours a day teaching myself the kind of stuff that they don't teach you in school, but the kind of stuff you need, the kind of information that's really important, the type of info that you need to understand if you want to understand how the economy and financial systems truly operate. Now, I had always been fairly good at saving money and being responsible with my purchases, but I didn't really understand how the financial system really works. What I didn't understand was how complex things truly are, and as I mentioned in my last video, they try to say that we're too stupid to handle our own affairs, especially financial affairs. But the truth is, they do everything in their power to keep us dumbed down so that we can't get a grasp on that. Not only do they not teach us what's important, they make it very difficult, even if you do want to seek out what matters on your own time. I had heard of things like inflation, the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, and the gold standard, but had never taken the time to understand these fully. As typically happens when someone wakes up to the truth that they've been lied to, one of their first reactions is to become angry. And you know, that was definitely my reaction, being very angry to the fact that I've been kept in the dark, especially on something that's so important. Now, once I realized that the Federal Reserve is neither a federal organization, that it has no reserves, and is not even a bank, I was, needless to say, highly upset that these people are allowed to get away with this, and that the average person doesn't understand what's really important and what's going on. Now, nearly every developed country has a central bank, like our Federal Reserve, that is basically a private corporation owned by a single family, and it's in charge of controlling the economy of all these respective countries. After we were taken off the gold standard, it became very easy for these type of institutions to print money with no checks and balances. Even the amount of silver in coins was dropped down until there are none in today's currencies. This system is so complex and elaborate that the average person has no idea that they are being fleeced, and that there aren't many safeguards to protect their investments. The financial powers that be use inflation to steal from the citizens. What it would cost to fill up a shopping cart 20 years ago will only buy you a few items in today's world. The buying power of the dollar has diminished tremendously because of their unrelenting printing of cash, and now the ability to add zeros to a computer screen. Since the invention of fiat currency in Asia several hundreds of years ago, they always revert back to being nearly worthless, not worth even the paper they're printed on. Without a currency being backed by a commodity such as gold, the only thing that gives the dollar and other currencies any value is the fact that the citizens agree that it has value. In America, we have been lucky because our government has forced other countries to buy oil with our dollar, making it valuable the world over. It seems that the days of the Federal Reserve notes being the global reserve currency is coming to an end, though. Other countries are choosing to use their own currencies to transact with, which means that they'll have no reason to keep the dollars on hand. And as that money floods back to the U.S., it will just make each dollar worth less and less. And it puts a big dent in the people's buying power. If you want to see what the devastating effects of this type of hyperinflation can do to a country, look no further than Venezuela. Those people have it really bad. In fact, they're so desperate, they've resorted into breaking into the zoos to kill animals for food to eat. That's a pretty bad state of affairs, and we're lucky to be in the U.S. truly, although sometimes it may not seem that way. We really are. Now, as I mentioned, the system is set up so that the average lifespan of a fiat currency lasts usually only about 50 years or so, if my memory serves me correct. The only reason our dollar has lasted as long as it has is because our government has strong-armed other countries into using it, and they have the ability to manipulate things with the invention of computer-based economics. This has allowed our current fiat system to last longer than normal, but it is slowly dying. They've used tactics such as quantitative easing and to make it last longer than normal. But that won't last forever. Okay, real assets out there, such as real estate and commodities like gold and silver, are heavily manipulated so that the average people and investors don't see them as the real safe havens they truly are. They use worthless paper derivatives, a fractional reserve system, to keep the prices of these commodities suppressed. That way, people don't really see them as an opportunity. Now, I mentioned the FDIC earlier, and that is supposed to make people feel secure about putting cash in the bank. However, most don't know that this type of insurance is virtually worthless, because they brought about an agreement that would force banks and other institutions to pay off the derivatives before any individual saw some of that money. Now, that means most, if not all, would lose their savings and investments entirely. That leads me to the invention of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin. A decentralized blockchain is basically a truth machine, which can prevent the type of fraud and manipulation that's seen in our current economy. A blockchain is a universally distributed ledger that has a time and date stamp and cannot be altered. Now, this is definitely the future and will hopefully bring about a lot of changes beneficial to the average person. One thing I found extremely interesting was the cover of the 1988 Economist magazine, which said to be ready for a digital global currency in the year 2018. Obviously, that just passed, and most of you may have heard of Bitcoin, even though you may not have invested yourself. Now, this magazine came out 30 years ago, and they either foresaw this or actually planned to transition us into that type of economy themselves. During my research, while being laid up because of my leg, I spent a lot of time focused on blockchain and crypto. I really felt that this would be a great opportunity to get involved in. After studying Cliff High's WebBot reports and their accuracy at predicting the movements of cryptos, I decided to invest myself. I got into Bitcoin at around $900 each and have made some pretty nice profits. I learned the hard way that this is the best method of investing for me. Before I got into crypto, I stuck my toe into the stock market. I bought a few gold mining shares of some company I had researched, but I was still skeptical. Now, I called the company that I had bought the shares from. I'm not going to say their name, but it's a pretty big company, okay? And I tried to get the actual shares and the certificates in my own hand. Now, keep in mind that the shares were less than $1 each, but to my surprise, it would cost me $500 per share to get the actual certificates in hand to put in my safe. Now, this was quite a rude awakening, but ultimately, it led me getting into crypto, so it was a blessing in disguise, you might say. I sold my shares, sold my gold and silver, and went all into Bitcoin. I would not suggest anyone put all their eggs in one basket like that, but luckily it worked out for me. I have since taken some profits and bought some of that silver back. So, you know, I want to stay diversified um, because I believe silver is extremely undervalued and will someday have a true price discovery. Now, I plan on speaking about crypto a lot on my channel, as this is something I try to stay informed on myself. So I want to be in a position to profit from this transition to the new economy, and I want to be able to help you guys take advantage of it as well. So that's going to conclude this one. I appreciate your time. I want to thank you. Please like and subscribe and comment so that this channel can get noticed and it will be able to be found by more people, and they'll be able to benefit from this information. All right, thank you guys. I really appreciate your time.